This was his fourth shot. This also just a moment ago. Oh my.
In part one, we looked at a number of really kind of common behaviours that would, if you had all of them to a strong level, would almost certainly take you down the route of the yips. So in this video, I've got Trevor Jones with me, brilliant sports psychologist, and we're going to see if we can reverse those behaviours and see if we can loosen that grip of the yips on your game. So if you remember from part one, the first behaviour is that is being overly self-conscious. Looking around metaphorically, being really aware of people watching you. What is the opposite of that, Trevor?
So when we're locked into that FOPO, as we call it in psychology, fear of other people's opinions, it's a pretty unpleasant place. As you said, attention's very, very scatty. We're hyper-aware. We're worried about embarrassing ourselves. There's a lot of emphasis on trying to kind of be right and trying to look good in front of others. But actually, the polar opposite of that is actually looking around and recognizing that we're all in the same boat here. Like everybody's human, and everybody's struggling with the same stuff.
I like that piece you said there around being right and looking good. I mean, I think ultimately the whole self-consciousness piece is linked to that. And for me, my experience of that was is standing. If I'm doing a presentation and I start feeling really nervous and self-conscious, I'm thinking, is that really what I'm here for? To look right, to be right and look good, or is there something more meaningful, like actually delivering a really good educational piece, or standing on the first tee, feeling really nervous? There's a bunch of my students. I don't really care if I hit a bad shot, but something sort of grips me. In which case, that would be when I go to what is my core value around this task. And for me, that would be skill mastery. I'm here to try and play my best and express myself my best from a sporting perspective. And trying to connect with that will lead you away from all that self-consciousness, which ultimately is being right and looking good. Number two then was over control. Obviously has a huge psychological component, but we can loosen that with some physical drills. So some of those drills that you'll see elsewhere on the channel and in other videos is the balls in a line drill. So I've got 3 balls in a line here, and I'm just going to set the club moving, starting to feel the flowing motion of the club, and I'm going to keep the club moving and just step in. And if I get it wrong, that's okay. And that is, to me, the absolute opposite of trying to control it. I am just letting that flow, and as it happens, they were really well struck. Equally, hitting balls one-handed. I mean, and we know there's been professionals who have played the tours chipping one-handed. And again, chipping one-handed connects us to the flow of the head. You can't over-control that. You just wouldn't make contact. You've got to feel where that head is and feel that sense of flow. So to me, it is using drills like that to connect with flow. I think the opposite of over-control from a movement perspective is trusting in flow.
And I think something that I've witnessed you do particularly well with students, and obviously something that I'm looking to reinforce, is there's very much an openness to failing.
Right, yeah.
A bit like the toddler learning to walk. Like, it's okay to fall.
Completely,
right?
yeah.
So, the handbrake being pulled kind of as you go. We're not looking. A lot of clients, when they first come to see me, have this kind of idea of I'm looking to never have the handbrake pulled again for amen. And as long as we have a nervous system, we have a handbrake. And I'd even say to you, would you buy a car that didn't have a braking system? Right? So sometimes actually recognizing that this part of us, the handbrake being pulled, is actually trying to protect us.
Right.
It's not trying to hurt us. We just need to kind of renegotiate and work with this a little better. And a big part of that shift that, as I said, I see you do so beautifully with clients, is that openness to failing. This is part of the journey.
Yeah, the playfulness, absolutely. So opposite of over control then, physically, is that sense of flow, but psychologically is being open to failure and being more playful with the result.
Playfulness. So number 3, in terms of the processes that tend to really constrict us and lead to more handbrakes being pulled, more yipping, is when we get excessively focused down on the golf ball, which in the driving metaphor is a little bit like driving the car while looking at the dashboard.
Yeah, absolutely. That real tightening foveal sort of focus vision is called. So we've got a physical drill here, which often produces great results with people with the yips. And it starts with understanding peripheral vision, which is very simple, isn't it? If you had 2 fingers held up in front of you and you really stared at the fingernail, that's foveal focus vision. And as you moved your fingers wider and wider apart, still being able to watch both fingers at the same time as I'm watching you, you'll probably see my face has gone a little bit blank, my stares become a bit vacant. That's peripheral vision, which is particularly sensitive to movement. We're going to see if we can draw out that more of that peripheral, looser style gaze. So I've got a ball in front of me, I don't know, nearly a club length, and another one this side. I'm going to play the middle ball while seeing if I can keep my vision wide enough to be able to look at all three balls. Can I keep all three balls in view? And regardless of the result, just notice whether you managed to see all three balls all the time, or did you get locked in on a dimple on the object ball.
And what we're really beginning to loosen here is, of course, kind of recognizing that the main threat to the person in this situation is the golf ball, the strike, the consequence.
Contact,
it's very,
yeah.
very natural. When you have a history that's involved a lot of interacting with this in unhealthy ways, is our perceptual systems actually kind of get warped and locked into a threat bias. So what you're doing here in terms of broadening out that perceptual field is a bit like driving the car. We're beginning to start to engage these more peripheral perceptual systems.
Right, okay.
And that's so crucial. Such a crucial process in terms of returning to what we call ace driving, as opposed to just being locked on the dashboard. Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Is it going to happen? Oh God, it happened. And of course that cycle tends to then just repeat itself. We get hypersensitivity to the threat, and then of course everything gears around that. So this is just such a beautiful drill in terms of starting to have clients interact with this in new ways. Number 4, excessive technical focus. So too many driving instructors, too many ideas, too many kind of technical points kind of rolling in.
Right.
Now, what would be your kind of antidote?
I mean, so there's lots of different ways of dealing with this. One of them being a well, first of all, a commitment and a trust in what you're doing is good enough. But for many people, that isn't enough. They need to kind of experience that. So some drills that would help us experience that sense of trust in their movement, automaticity, if you like, are talking while you're hitting. So as I'm playing here, I can't be engaged in a great deal of technical thought if I'm speaking to you, I'm looking at you, etc. as you play it. And then if that's the first time you've done that, it's almost like, oh my goodness, that wasn't me, that was something else that took over. So you might do counting in French, counting backwards from 10 in English, whatever it is, some kind of dual task that goes on in the background, which I wouldn't say is the fix for the Yips, but it is a nice way of experiencing what is it to not have a whole lot of technical focus. Another option would be along the same vein is a hum or a whistle. So if I just whistled the whole time while playing the shot and listening to the whistle, noticing if it changes in pitch, I'm able to fully attend to the whistle because I haven't got a whole lot of technical stuff. If I was trying to think, swing and whistle, you would hear that pitch change a lot as your working memory is sort of working hard to process all that stuff going on. So really nice playful ways to get away from excessive technical focus.
And from my side, that's actually really interesting to kind of see that process play out. Within that driving metaphor, that might be driving while having a conversation with a good friend, right? Or kind of humming along to a tune. And what you're beginning to get is like a new experience of driving in situations that tend to really draw you into this. My elbow must be here. Kind of this
absolutely, yeah.
And so you're starting to kind of interact with healthier ways of driving in this new open way.
And on reflection, what would be a better form of concentration while driving? Is it trying to get everything right in like a beginner, or is it being a bit more relaxed, listening to the radio, chatting with your friend while paying attention? And the last process we looked at in that first video was that real determination to get this fixed. I mean, I am going to fix this if it kills me. I am going to get this right. I mean, that's a real tough one, Trevor, because the more we take that aggressively sort of driven stance to it, the more it kind of narrows our attention and our behaviours and lumps even more pressure on us. Yet equally, and this is why it's a tough one, nobody wants to just accept that I've kind of got the Yips and that's the way it is. Although strangely that often leads us out the other way. What are your thoughts on that, Trevor?
I mean, it makes sense, Ryan. Or if you walk into quicksand, it makes sense that you've
got to get out quick. Yeah.
A lot of people have a hard time accepting acceptance.
And acceptance being accepting that I'm in this situation and I may have it for a while, but and then also from a psychological standpoint, accepting our own feelings and emotions.
On a much deeper level, this comes down to being human, right? Like to have a struggle, to be in something that there are a lot of difficult thoughts and feelings that come along with this, right? I think there's a sense of self that the Yips tends to attack that is quite kind of interesting and specific and peculiar. Like, if I can't even do this really simple thing, then who am I?
Yeah.
So there are some bigger questions that kind of come up here that I obviously work through in sessions with clients.
Absolutely. So more on a lighter note, then, what could we suggest is a better way to approach this? I am definitely going to fix this, and I'm determined.
Yeah. I mean, finding your feet where they are. And I think actually the opposite of trying to wrestle your way and fix this is just acknowledging it. Right?
Yeah.
And very often some difficult feelings come up with this: anxiousness, dread, worry, things like that. And I just get people to just place their hand on wherever they feel that. Just acknowledge it.
Right.
This is where I am right now. And the weird thing about this is that all of these 5 that we've described are really in the service of avoidance. And if I'm being completely honest, it's in the service of avoiding being human.
Right.
To have struggles, to get into places that evoke lots of difficult thoughts and feelings. So if we can just slow that down a little bit, we're trying to run through this. Sometimes a guiding principle I give to people is slow is fast. Just let a bit of get the windows down. Let a bit of.
That's a Navy SEAL phrase, isn't it? Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Yeah.
Let's just slow this down. Let's just take a breath. This is where we are. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe it's okay to be here for a moment, because very often as people kind of walk through this journey a little bit more intentionally, they start to figure things out about being human and figure things out about kind of these bigger notions. And sense of self tends to get more stable in that place, actually.
Okay. So, in other areas of one's life, we've fixed it by being determined and fixing it. That is not the way to go with this. We need to appreciate that this is where we're at, and it will likely go away at some point by being playful, trying some of the drills we've done, but not being absolutely convincingly determined to get rid of it. You gotta have it for a while. Thanks, Trevor.